Good morning. Want to make sure everybody's ready for a fun time. You got your coffee, you got your water, got everything you need. Laura, if you wouldn't mind dropping the link to the participant guide in the notes real quick, that would be awesome. We're going to get started in like 4 minutes. Thank you, Brooke, for being the overachiever that you are. Brooke dropped her open into the chat. If you'd like Ohio approved credit, 1 hour for this workshop, go ahead and put your name and your open in the chat right now. And we're going to have you do that again at the close of the session. And that'll make sure that your attendance was recorded. And I'll mention that a few more times this morning as we get going. Ooh, that's a long link. I'm thinking maybe we'll also do this. There we go. I downloaded the PDF, Laura, in anticipating uploading it this morning. Good morning, everyone who's dropping in this morning. Brooke and Kendra and Charlene and Stephanie and Denise and Keenan and Heather and Angie. Everyone's joining. So much fun. Great to see you guys this morning. We're going to get started here in just a couple minutes. We're waiting for a few more people to join us. We've got 19 participants here in the workshop this morning. It's great to see you guys. If you're just joining us, go ahead and drop your name and your OPIN in the chat box if you're interested in getting Ohio approved credit for this 1 hour course. If you don't need the OA credit, that's fine too. We're happy to have you here as well. Laura, were you able to get your audio working, up and running? Or are you still having troubles? Okay, she can hear me. Great. Okay. Laura, just in case your audio is continuing to have trouble, I'm going to leave my cell phone here so you can text me if anything big comes up that you want to talk about. But we're going to go ahead and get started this morning because I see it is 10 o'clock. So good morning, everybody. You are here in workshop number 1, the initial workshop of the Ohio Afterschool Network's Grow as a Leader virtual training series. A couple quick acknowledgements this morning as we get started. First of all, I want to thank the network for encouraging this type of professional development and for giving me the opportunity to lead it. We'd also like to thank Battelle for funding this project. And then my logo's down there too, 10 Speed Consulting, Gear Up for Success. And then I want to thank Laura Harris, who is behind the scenes today, managing admission and chat and handling recording and all of that type of back-end stuff that's really challenging to do when you're running a training like this. So Laura, you can let people in for a few more minutes. And as the folks continue to trickle in, we'll just keep reminding everyone, if you would like Ohio approved credit for this workshop, please make sure to put your name and your OPIN in the chat box. This is for licensed childcare centers. If you're not interested in Ohio approved credit, that's fine too. So a little bit of housekeeping as we get started this morning. The number one, first, most popular question people always ask is, will this be recorded? And yes, this will be recorded. The Ohio Afterschool Network is recording the workshop right now, and it will be later posted on the OAN website for your when you're going, what should I do with this next hour? I have nothing to do right now. Let's go back and watch Nichelle's training again, because I know everyone's thinking that right now, like, I really can't wait to watch this again later. But all kidding aside, if you want to share it with other staff, that would be wonderful. QR code that's up there right now is a link to the resource folder. It has the slides for this training. It has your participant guide, which you will need for this workshop today. I know Laura emailed it out yesterday in a reminder email. You might not have gotten it yet. Laura, if you could drop the link in when you get a chance again, that way everybody can jump into the Google Doc or download the PDF. So that way you've got it handy for today's workshop. Can download it from Google, make a copy, and then write on it yourself, because it'll only be viewable as a resource to you. Ohio approved credit is available to those of you who are interested in it. You can only get credit if you are participating in the live virtual session. So for those of you that are joining me right now in real time at 10:03 on 10/11, you are the ones who are eligible for OA credit. If you're watching this recording later, well, you're in for a treat, but unfortunately you're not able to get Ohio approved credit. So only the live virtual. As I mentioned before, this is first of a 6-course series. And if you watch all 6 of these workshops, and each one are going to be on a different topic, but each one is going to be on Wednesday at 10 o'clock, the second Wednesday of the month, you can get a certificate from the Ohio Afterschool Network that says that you participated in all 6 workshops. You can frame that and hang it above your desk. It'll be just something you look at all the time. And then finally, if you have any follow-up, if you want to ask any questions, you can reach me. This is my email, Nichelle at 10speedconsulting.com. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started this morning with a reflection activity. This is a Think, Write, Share. You can do this on your own. You can do this if you're sitting with a group of people. We're talking this morning about growing as a leader. So I thought it was good if we started off thinking about a leader that you admire, somebody that has perhaps inspired you in your work, or someone that you worked for as a kid or a young adult that sort of got you maybe interested in your career path. That person, what traits did they have? What was it about their leadership that you really admired? You can think about this. You can drop notes in the chat if you want to. I'll pull up the chat so I can take a look at it. What was it about their leadership that you really admired? You can also come off mute and join the conversation. Go ahead. Andrina? And I'm not saying it right.
No, you're saying it right. Oh, thank you. Oh, so for my leader that I follow, it's like kind of a hodgepodge of leaders throughout my life, but I look at the ones that I admire most. And One, it was strength-based. I had a leader that said, we're always going to put people where they're strong. So if you're great at cleaning toilets, then you'll be on toilets. And you can handle that and you like it, you'll be on toilets. You'll do countertops. So everybody did something, because at the end of the day, it was a cleaning job. And so we were all strong in something. Another one is just like laid back. Like you could go to them and they didn't always have the answer, but you never felt stupid asking them a question. And they were curious about your inquiry and would do their best to find an answer for you. Those are the two strengths that I carry with me.
That is awesome. It sounds like there was a lot of trust in that relationship. That's great. Brooke said being able to listen without trying to fix. I feel like that's kind of trustworthy too, like, and letting them talk it out. Moving along in the chat. Anybody else want to share?
Hi, I will.
Great.
Hi, I'm Adam here from New Jersey SAC. I think when I think about a quality leader, or I think of a leader that really is someone that I admire, it was the ability to get the work done, output.
Right.
So whatever the objectives were, they were able to work in a dynamic way, understand different personalities, and really strive to get all of us to become synergistic. Like the greatest leaders that I could think of had an ability to create synergy amongst their colleagues.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Adam. So lots of great conversation in the chat here as well. Ariel says, I like their ability to see what's needed to be done and just jump in and do it. So that like servant leader kind of leadership where, you know, the jobs that they ask you to do are the jobs that they're willing to do too. This is great conversation, great like grounding for us. Melissa from Youngstown says, listening to me, talking through issues and problems, walking through the solutions with me and making sure that I understood. These are all great level sets, great examples of amazing leaders. Thank you guys all for sharing today. We're gonna not share this, but we're gonna think about it for a minute, about a leader that we didn't get along with, someone who in our past was maybe unpleasant to work with or made the job harder. Everyone's cracking up right now. I can see that they're like channeling their inner former worst boss ever. Some of the things that they did that made the job unpleasant are the traits that, we are trying not to replicate in ourselves. We're trying to stay, and some of it's like a knee-jerk reaction, and some of it is just like a natural reaction of like, we don't want to do those things. And so just kind of centering on traits and skills as we kind of get started this morning, and in our thinking about growing ourselves as leaders. Leaders who look inward and take a journey of genuine self-discovery make profound shifts in themselves and in their lives. And so this is what we're gonna kind of center around today, looking inward towards ourselves and really trying to make an assessment of the leadership skills that we have, whether or not we like them or don't like them, and what we would want to grow in ourselves to make us better leaders in the work that we do. So just here's a quick spreadsheet on emotional intelligence from Travis Bradbury and Jean Graves. They have a book called Emotional Intelligence 2.0. It's in your resources. And since I was an emotional intelligence fellow with the National Afterschool Association, I don't know how many years ago, I've really been trying to lean into EQ as a way to build my leadership skills. And I'd invite you to do that as well. So we have the 4 quadrants up right now of emotional intelligence for leaders. We've got self-awareness, which has to do with you understanding who you are and yourself, and we're really going to focus on that quadrant today. But I wanted to acknowledge the other 3 as well. Self-management, which is understanding how you're feeling and being able to control those feelings in a moment. That way you are able to center yourself and think clearly and make good decisions and give good advice and not overreact, but react appropriately for the situation. That control has to do with self-management. The social awareness quadrant down in the lower left has to do with you understanding how other people are feeling. You know, someone walks into your office and they're, you know, they're look very distraught, their voice is raised. Understanding, are they excited? Are they mad? Are they anxious? Are they sad? Like, what is that emotion? And then being able to react appropriately to the emotion that they're having based on what you know about them. And then finally, relationship management, which is the ability to continue to fill other people's cups, especially those that work for you. Make sure that you understand what their position is and what they need in their role, and that you are acting in a way that helps support them and makes them stronger as staff. Okay, so we're going to talk about the upper left-hand quadrant up here, self-awareness. So I mentioned a little bit about self-awareness before, but I'm going to kind of break it down into these 4 different categories. When you're self-aware, you have the ability to focus on yourself. There's a lot of things that happen when you're out in the world and you're leading groups of staff. You've got all of their personalities, you've got the kids' personalities, you've got things that are happening, parent demands, and all of that. Being able to understand how you feel about yourself in all those different situations is super valuable, because it helps you get to the next step, which is self-management. Being able to identify what your own internal standards are, like, how I feel about this. Am I reacting because of an emotion? Do I really agree with what I'm thinking right now? Does that match my morals and values and my standards and what I want to put out there as a leader? Understanding how others perceive you. This is kind of a big one, because you know, in my own personality, I tend to be, and you know, if you know me, this is going to be shocking. I tend to be like really yelly and like arms are moving and all of that. And so sometimes people perceive that as like that I'm angry when really I'm just like passionate about something, or that I'm upset when really I'm just trying to be funny. So making sure that what you are doing, what you're feeling, matches up with what you're kind of putting out there is really important. And then finally, those who are really highly self-aware can interpret their own actions, feelings really objectively. So, question for you: what percentage of people do you think are actually, or who think they are actually self-aware? Harvard Business Review and a bunch of other places have done studies on thousands of people, hundreds of studies. And when they ask people, are you self-aware? 95% of people say, yes, I am highly self-aware. You know the next question that's coming. How many people are actually self-aware?
Maybe like 2%.
I'm sorry, like what percent?
Maybe like 2%.
Oh, you're pretty close.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was being generous with 5%.
Yeah, you guys are really close. Yeah, 10% of people are actually very self-aware. So as leaders, we gotta think about that for a moment. So we think we know how we are feeling and what we are putting out there into the world to our staff, but chances are good that unless we're super reflective, unless we take time to really think through how we are feeling about things and what we're going to say before it comes out of our mouths, chances are pretty good that we are not as self-aware as we really think we are. So just something to think about. So we're going to do our first pair and discuss, and we're going to do these in all of these series. And we're going to talk with a partner or two about what ways self-awareness can benefit you as a leader. Like specifically, like if I was more self-aware, I could blah, blah, blah. So before you go into the breakout rooms, don't do anything yet. Because you're like, what's a pair and discuss? Nichelle, we've never done this before. Well, of course you haven't, because this is this first workshop. So I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. There's a lot of instructions up here, but I'm going to just walk you through it. First of all, you're going to be randomly placed into a breakout room with a colleague or two. If you get there and nobody's there because they logged into this webinar, but they stepped out to deal with something or whatever, come back to the main room so we can put you in with somebody else. Do your introductions and exchange emails. If from this series you get nothing else, please get the name of somebody else outside of your organization that you work with all the time that you could reach out to later if you've got a question or a problem or you want to brainstorm things, because that's the way that you really get things done as a professional. And spoiler alert, that's a lot of session 6 around building your community. Okay, so you do introductions, you exchange emails. Hi, I'm great. What's your email? You maybe write it down on a piece of paper or the handy dandy participant guide that I made for you. And then you'll discuss the prompt. You want to make sure in a pair and share, if you do this with students, you know, it's usually timed. Each person has so many minutes to talk. You're going to get a warning before you wrap up. We're not really going to time you, but I mean, we're going to give you 5 minutes once you get into your breakout room. But we want to make sure that everyone has a chance to share. So maybe share some initial thoughts and give the other person a chance. You'll get a warning from Laura, hey, 1 minute before the breakout room is going to end. And then you can return. And if you've got something that you talked about passionately, you can absolutely go ahead and share that out with the group. Or if you just want to like keep that to yourself because you shared something personal, that's fine too. Okay, so pair and discuss. In what ways can self-awareness benefit leaders? That's the topic at hand. So Laura, if you want to go ahead and open up the breakout rooms, send everyone over to where they're going to be, that would be amazing. Thank you so much in advance. And I'll see you guys in 5 minutes. 19, 20, 21, 10:23. Hey Heather, how's it going?
It's good. Hey, I'm actually in the same office as another person, so I'm just gonna go over to their computer and join their group.
Simone, can you get into your breakout room or do you need some help? Oh, there she goes.
Hey, I was in a group and no one was in there talking or anything like that.
Gotcha. Laura, would you mind moving them to a new room, please? Laura, Heather saw the message, but she's just going to go to talk to someone else that's in her actual room. Laura, can you move Keenan to another room, please?
She got me. I'm about to go there now.
Okay, all right, okay, great. I can see you now.
It's bad lighting. I'm at a coffee shop.
Gotcha.
Um. Better.
Oh, gotcha. I see your message now. No worries.
Yeah, since he wasn't, I don't know if I've ever had that before where somebody was, because he wasn't even like in the room pop up to reassign. So I learned something new.
Great. We always want to learn new things every day. That's my number one tip as a leader. Be curious.
Yes.
New things.
Be curious. Yeah, I have all these people. I've got 2 to 3 people in every room. I've had to move a few people.
Can you give them a 1-minute warning?
Yep.
And then we'll move them back. They're about at 30 seconds right now.
Yep, I just sent a message.
Okay, cool. And I'll pull my screen back up. And share it again.
It was a good turnout. I mean, I know it's not everybody, the 60, we had almost 70 signed up, but like 40, 41 or whatever seems like a good number.
Yeah, I agree. Hello, everyone. Welcome back.
Hi.
Did you meet some new friends?
Yes, I did. We got to
Great.
chat.
Perfect. That's what I want for you.
I met Gabby.
Great.
All right. You want me to go ahead and close the rooms, Nichelle?
Yeah, I think you gave them all a minute warning, right? So yeah, whenever you're ready.
Nichelle, do you mind resharing that scan code of the booklet? I saw it on my Google Docs, and then when I saved it to open it in my Google Drive on my computer, it just opens up in like a bunch of codes, like letters and wingdings, and I'm like, not right.
Andrina, can I maybe drop the PDF into the chat? Is that okay?
That would be great.
Okay, I'll wait till everybody comes back first. That way I don't have to do it a couple of times. That way everybody can grab it.
Thanks.
Sure, no worries.
All done.
Right. I am going to drop into the chat box the PDF for the participant guide again. And there it is. And then I'm going to say, welcome back, everybody. I hope that you met some new people and that you had a chance to pair and discuss a little bit about the ways that self-awareness can benefit leaders. Anybody want to share some thoughts? I'd love to hear what you guys discussed. You can drop it in the chat, or you can just come off mute and talk to us.
Sure, I can share my group. We discussed focusing on ourselves and the ability to focus on ourselves. We found it very difficult because we're natural nurturers, always offering our help, and then our work gets behind. So we were trying to figure out ways that we can not have our work behind. And the best thing that we came up with was just scheduling time for ourselves, like personal office hours.
I love that idea. That is fantastic. And I do agree with you because I feel like people who are in this field are here because they want to be servant leaders, because they want to help their communities, because they really enjoy working with kids and teaching other staff. And yes, it is hard to take time for ourselves. And I appreciate that you would schedule that to get done. I'm doing a workshop later about time management too. I think that may be the next one even. So love to have you on that one. We could talk more about time management. Is it paging?
We created
Yeah.
these things. Yes, I'm Charmaine.
Oh, hi.
I was we were talking about navigating. It might help with navigating how you approach things over time. The lady, Miss Kathy, that I just met with, that's 36 years of experience as a director. And I think I could just imagine me just starting. I can imagine over time having a shift and be flexible. But I think that self-awareness could help with staying true to yourself still in a way, because you obviously have the qualities to be where you are. You know what I mean? And it's like really, really, really important to me as a person who's learning under a director, under somebody with much more experience, when it's time to take that information in.
Yeah.
You know, people who are still students, we see that. Like, we see like, okay, this person is being really nice, but do you feel that way today?
Right.
So I think self-awareness it can help with navigating that approach. Over time, things change.
Gotcha. Thanks for sharing that. I agree 100%. Ariel has her hand up.
Okay, hi. I spoke with Stephanie. Hopefully I didn't say your name wrong. And we just talked about being self-aware as a leader is very important, because you have to know your strengths and weaknesses, especially when you have a team under you. And it's important to delegate with those people to help you where your weaknesses are at and support them in your strengths. So like, for example, I'm a very scheduled person. I have to know everything the day before or even the week before. Like, I need to know when everything is going on, how is it going, at what time. But, you know, in a school, typically things don't always go by schedule. Things happen and you have to be able to adjust. So I have a hard time doing that. But I have other members on like my team or that work with me that can do that. So it's just important to know your strengths and weaknesses and your team strengths and weaknesses, and then how can we work together doing that.
So
that makes
yeah. Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. Awesome. Adam, you want to share? Welcome you to the conversation.
Hi, thank you. Yes, I met with Simone. She was really great and inspiring. We talked about ways that we could be more self-aware as a direct benefit to becoming a better leader. And we talked about whatever it includes, which is exactly what you all have already shared. It must also contain self-care tools, right? And so when I asked Simone, what do you do to stay more self-aware? And her answer was journaling. I thought that was really great. So I think for me, it's exercise, taking walks, and taking in fresh air. And for her, it's journaling. I think the point is that a quality leader is going to be great for the people they're working with. Whatever it includes, it has to include self-care, right?
Right. Yeah. You need that balance, right? And the opportunity to do the things that you love to do. That way you can be reflective. It's hard to be reflective when you are feeling a little bit out of sorts, and self-care really manages that. Great point, Adam. Charlene, I see you have your hand up. Would you love to join the conversation? We'd love to have you.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
The one thing I was with Kim, and the one thing piggybacking off what he said, self-reflection, but not only having self-reflection for yourself, but knowing how you approach your people that you work with, how you talk to them. Like, you could have said something, then you think about it, or you did something, you think about it, you're like, oh, that was wrong. I need to go back and talk to them about that. So being vulnerable to your employees as well, to let them know that you're vulnerable too, and you can apologize and show them that you understand them as well. And sometimes we may come off harsh that we don't even want to come off harsh. But
Yeah,
sometimes letting people know, like when you start your day, like I'm having a really bad day.
right on.
That don't take it personally, but some days you might be going through a rough patch. So allowing other people that you work with to let them know that you're going through some things so they can have an understanding about you as well.
Right. Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. And Tricia, I see that you've got your hand up too. We've also got a couple of really great things in the chat too. Simone says we spoke of continued professional development to stay attuned and strengthen our leadership skills. And then Dolores said we're naturally goal oriented, and sometimes self-awareness takes a backseat. And I would also agree with that. Tricia, you want to share your thoughts? Great to see you.
Good to see you too. I just wanted to add that being self-aware also helps you build better relationships with your students, your staff, because if you are aware of how you are and your triggers, then that can help you build better relationships as well. So I think that it's great for building relationships, better relationships with your students. Because if you know who you are, it helps you see the world differently too.
And even with your own kids, like if I could tell just a quick story about when I started my EQ journey, I had a daughter, she's like in middle school, she'd get worked up about falling behind in school, and she would come to me and she'd be in tears, and that would trigger something inside of me that would make me so anxious that I'd be like, look, I cannot talk to you about this right now. Get your act together, then come back here, like make a list. I don't know what you want to do, but like, I cannot handle this right now. And eventually I recognized in myself that that was triggering enough anxiety that I was really not supporting her. And so at one point I just made a decision to change how I was doing that. And when she came in and she was like really upset, I said, okay, like, I hear you. Let's have a hug. All right, I'm going to make some tea and then we're going to talk about this. And I would get up and I would make tea and I'd bring it back and we'd sit there and drink tea. And then I'd say, okay, now what do we need to do to help you? And then we'd walk through it, and it made our relationship even stronger. And even now my kid is 23. If I'm upset, like here's a cup of tea, mom, here you go. Like, this will help you. Like, building that tradition and that relationship in us required me to be self-aware enough to recognize that her behavior was triggering me and causing me to act out. And I don't want that for my kids. And we don't want that for our students or our staff or our families. These skills are really very transferable, and I appreciate you making that connection for us, Tricia. Okay. Great conversation. Glad you guys, and some of this we already covered about what self-awareness can influence. It can influence the outcomes like we just talked about, give you perspective, make us happier, decrease our stress. All of these are things that having really high self-awareness can do to help improve our lives. So thinking about self-awareness and thinking about leadership, where those two things intersect, I'm just going to share with you real quick the 4 top skills that I have worked on as a leader in my life. And maybe you can take something from these next four slides and 4 stories, and that will aid you in some way in your self-awareness and your leadership journey. I heard people mention this before, but one thing that really has helped me is asking questions and being curious about why things are happening. I find that a lot of times I tend to be like, I assume I've got all the information, and I make decisions and react to things in ways that maybe are not on point for the situation that's happening. So I found that if I am able to self-manage enough and ask questions like, okay, so how did we get here? What can I do to help you? What do you think went wrong? Where could you have made a change? If I ask questions like that, particularly in conflict type situations, that I get a better result than if I just start off assuming that I know everything about what's going on. So having a good growth mindset and being intellectually curious, and also genuinely curious about the staff that work for you, I have found is one thing that I work on, and the more I work on it, the better my relationships with staff seem to be. Be curious. Number 2 is being very authentic. And, I think Charlene's the one who said it, like, if you go in and you're like, hey, my day is not going great, I just want to like give you the heads up. Or you say, I am feeling anxious, I am feeling overwhelmed, I am feeling these ways. It really, if you name it, then other people can say, okay, I can identify with that feeling. I know what they're feeling right now, and then have empathy for you as a leader. But then also just being, truthful in what's happening with your organization. Think back to COVID, think back to the time when you had to like talk to your employees or your staff about, maybe what was going on with the budget, why you had to cut hours. Like, I find that when you are authentic with your staff and tell them really what's going on, that there is more trust and that you have a better opportunity to build relationships with them. This is one thing that I always struggle with. And I say, I always see the mountains that are ahead of me. I never see the mountains that are behind me. I never acknowledge what I have done. I always think about the next thing to do, right? Someone said being task-oriented. I think sometimes as leaders, being reflective is super important, because it allows us the opportunity to celebrate our achievements and the achievements of others, and to acknowledge the work that we do as leaders. I was not great at this for a really long time, and I had to work on it. When I was a multi-site director for the Marysville School District, it was actually a task that we put on our list every year, that we would sit down, myself and my assistant, and we would write down all of the great things that we thought we did over the last year, no matter how big or how small they were. And we were delighted to find a giant list of all kinds of things that we have done, for the program, for ourselves, for others throughout the year. We kind of started to categorize them, and then we started to share it out at staff meetings. And when we had a 3-page list of all the amazing things that the staff had done and the organization had done, it was really a point of great pride and a point of celebration within our organization. And so annually, we would sit down and make lists of all the great things that we did. And that aspect is where I think, like, walks outside can come in handy, and yoga and journaling. I think Adam mentioned that someone was doing. Those types of things can really aid us in our journey to think about, situations or ourselves or accomplishments, and then kind of move on. Being reflective. And then finally, being trustworthy. And this came up a lot when we were talking in the beginning about the leaders that we admired. Keeping confidentiality, making sure that, what people say to you is not repeated, making sure that what you say you do, you will do. If you say you will show up, you show up. If you say you will, complete a task for an employee, you make sure that you do that. Building that trust with employees over the course of your time as a leader. I feel like this is one of the really most important things that you can do to make sure that your team functions efficiently and effectively. So those are my top 4. What's missing? Like, certainly this can't be everything that you need to do as a great leader. There are some other things that are out there that I'm sure I didn't mention. So you have 2 options right now as you go into your next your next group chat. You can do one of two things. You could say, oh no, Nichelle is so good at this. Like 4 is all there is. Like, I don't have anything to add to that list. And I'm sure that you're thinking that right now. But if you're not, you could go ahead and make a little list of other things that I'm missing. Or you can get on the participant guide, and you can discuss one of these 2 reflection topics. You know, what do I value more? Goals or relationships? Do I believe in structure or freedom of choice? There are 5 or 6 here that you could maybe discuss if something piques your interest. But I wanted to give you the option to do that during your parent share today. So Laura's going to open up the random breakout rooms again. You're going to get 5 more minutes. We're going to come back, and believe it or not, we're going to be wrapping up our hour together. So have fun, meet some friends. Don't forget to exchange names and emails, and I'll see you back here in about 5 minutes or so.
I was in an empty breakout room.
Okay, you can be reassigned.
Okay.
We'll put you, was it 9? Because I was supposed to be in there.
I think it was 7.
Okay, there's also a couple people who haven't joined. Kathy, Antea, and Kerwin. They're not in there right now either.
Oh, okay.
Who is, I'm sorry, who is speaking?
I'm sorry, it's Ariel Johnson.
Okay, I'll reassign you.
Okay. Thanks, Laura.
Yeah.
Heather's probably talking to her colleague who's in the same office as her.
Yeah, I'll move the person that was with her.
I don't know about Kathy, Kerwin, and Antea.
Yeah. I know, I'm keeping an eye on it to see if there's people who are by themselves here. Oh, okay. So Kathy says she's doing something. She's got something else going on right now, but she'll try to join it. Looks like.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
I will be right back.
Okay. We've got about 1 minute if you want to send a 1-minute warning. I also forgot to include the link to the survey. So can we send that a follow-up?
Is that in a folder that you
Nope.
shared the other day?
Nope.
No.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you made another friend. They're random, so I'm hoping that you're meeting new people. Like, that's the goal of it. Exchanged emails and met some new people. Anyone want to share anything that they think that I'm missing from my 4 things that I thought I needed to work on as a leader? What else?
Can I share? Charlene, can I share?
Hey, Renee, can you mute, please?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Oh, yes. Sorry.
No worries.
Hi, Charlene, can I share? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, I wanted to share patience on that list.
Oh, there
Add-
you are. I couldn't see you in my.
Oh.
Usually when a speaker starts to speak, they pop up to the upper left-hand corner. And so I'm like, where's she coming from? I don't see her anywhere. So hi, yes, please share, Charlene. We'd love to hear from you.
I was with Keenan, and I shared with him about having patience. That you need patience too. But some days it's not always going to be easy. Some days you might think of doing a lesson and you start in the room and the energy is way off, so you gotta have patience.
That's a really good one. Hey, Dolores, would you mute, please? Thanks. Anyone else want to share? I'd love to hear what you guys talked about. I'm very curious.
Me and Miss Melissa, ours was kind of cut off. But she was basically saying how she is a person that's like the happy medium. Like she has these 3 different personalities, 4 different personalities, and then she's like, okay, we have, this is the task, this is the mandatory, so we need to see how we can strategize to put these things together. And so I think that I don't want to call it a happy medium, but I think that having a person that can stay focused under knowing, okay, you think A, you think B, but this is what it is. That makes a good leader, I believe. Yeah. And I think that's very important because some people fold under pressure.
Yeah. Right on. And not just that, and we'll talk about this a little bit in the communication workshop, but like acknowledging that, you know, other people have opinions and that's okay, but this is how you're going to move forward. Like having that tact to say that to staff who might have different opinions, like that's another important skill too. But yes, I agree. You got to stay your course, right? Know yourself, what your values are. Yeah. Anyone else want to share? Check the chat real quick.
Simone.
Hey, Simone.
Can you hear me? Yes. I was going to say, being knowing yourself is very important, and those disputes. One of the things that Angie and I spoke with Angie, she was a lot further along in this than I am, but I'm a people pleaser, and I tend to care a lot about what someone thinks. And I know as a leader, it's kind of like, I think our last speaker just said, you got to state the facts and kind of, just stay right where, where you are. And I tend to not do that. And that's actually why I signed up for this class. So that's one of the things that I am working on is people pleasing, going a little too far.
Hey, Simone, great job knowing that about yourself. And great job. Like, I understand that. Like you want to make everybody happy. I get that. But also as a leader, there are tough decisions you have to make. So great job knowing that about yourself, and great job taking some steps. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then,
It can be challenging, but it's definitely, I know
yeah.
that it has to be.
Oh yeah. I probably should have said this at the very beginning. This is not easy. Like you're not gonna come to the end of this hour and be like, great job. All right, now I'm ready to be a wonderful, amazing leader. Like that's just not how it works. And it's the constant reflection. It's the, oh, you know what? This didn't go the way I wanted it to go. I will not make that mistake again. It's that you learn and you grow as a leader. But being self-aware enough, being reflective enough, that's I think what makes a good leader is if you are that way. And self-awareness is a journey, right on. And Miss D said, no, they said I covered a lot. Thank you. I feel like I did too. She got to meet a new first year coordinator, which is all I want for you in the world. Ariel, you want to share?
I would just say being willing to learn. I feel like sometimes after a while, if you're very comfortable in your position and you do it for a while, you think, well, you don't think you know everything, but it's been a while since you had to relearn something. So you might want to still keep that eagerness to learn and have the ability to learn from your other staff members, but also have the flexibility to be empathetic towards the people around you and how they're feeling in order to improve your program or the work-life balance that you have going on.
I love that so much. Like I love that an amazing amount. I used to have my last job a little piece of paper tacked up that says, I will be coachable and teachable. I will be coachable and teachable. I will take in what other people say to me, evaluate that, and apply that to my own leadership style. And I remember like when I first started working as the Ohio Afterschool Network executive director, I had a plan like this gigantic conference, and someone from the National League of Cities was like helping me. And I'm doing all these things and like pulling this person's headshot off of social media. And she's like, never do that. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't realize I should not do that. I will be coachable and teachable. I will ask them for a headshot. Like, it's just little things that you don't know that you're doing. But if you take it personally, if you take that coaching and that teaching and internalize it and push back against it, you never have the opportunity to be curious enough to learn new things and to grow. Right. So I think that what you're saying is right on the money. We've got just a couple minutes left. And so I'm going to talk about next steps. So what are we going to do to continue growing as leaders? You know, we've identified some things today that are great, things that leaders might want to do. We've talked about a lot about self-awareness. You can grab the book, Emotional Intelligence 2.0, and do your own survey. And that's in the resources that I've got for you guys. Do your own survey and find out, you know, like how to grow more in self-awareness. And then once you decide on something that you really want to improve, I highly recommend a SMART goal for yourself. Just one that is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And you may have seen this before, but leaders who set SMART goals could do something like this. This is just an example. I want to be more curious and ask more questions when I'm faced with a challenge. Like, I don't want to just react. I want to think, all right, what's really happening here? So how will I make that specific? What do I really want to know? When I'm getting emotional about something, I'm just going to like stop and say, why? Why do you feel this way? I'm going to say it to myself. I can say it to anybody else. I'm just going to think about it. Somebody talked earlier about journaling. A great way to measure it is to each day, just write a sentence or two about how you stopped to reflect. You want it to be achievable, right? You want to notice it just like once a week. Like one time a week, I'm going to set an alarm on my phone. I'm going to like set a reminder on my calendar. Like, be curious. That's all you have to say. And it means something to you, but not anyone else. you know, you want to make it relevant because you want to do this like during your staff interactions or maybe other interactions you're having with other people. But if you're applying this to leadership, then definitely when you're talking to the people that you supervise. And then you'll strive to improve your curiosity once a month. That's your goal, right? That's an example of a SMART goal. I think this is in your participant guide too, that you can do it and then work on it. Maybe grab one of your new friends that you met, right? Because you met at least a couple people today. You can email them and be like, hey, do you want to be my accountability buddy for my SMART goal? Because here's what I want to do. And they're going to be like, yes, I would love to do that because I love to meet new people and I love to grow as a leader. So hang on to that. And I started to say this earlier about leadership and reflection. It's every little tiny little thing that you do all day. It's the monotonous little stuff that you do, like brush your teeth, that really matter the most as you continue to grow as a leader. So a little commercial for my next workshop that will be next Wednesday, or not next Wednesday, next month on Wednesday, same bat time, same bat channel. You can register on the Ohio Afterschool Network website. This one is going to be about time management. It's going to be understanding how to prioritize things, understanding how to delegate a little bit better, really recognizing you've got a finite amount of time and you've got so many things to do. How do you sort of manage that? So that's all about what the next leadership training is going to be about. Before you leave, make sure you drop your name and your OPIN back in the chat box one more time. That'll serve as your goodbye, see you later. And we're going to grab those and then we'll assign you Ohio approved credit from that. So my name's Nichelle Harris from 10 Speed Consulting. It's been great to see you today at our workshop, and I hope you have a really amazing rest of your week. And I hope to see you in November for our time management training. You guys were awesome.